Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? Today we are having an episode of not Re Behind the Scenes, Transformation Time. And we're gonna have Randy on, and he's gonna be talking to us about his personal development journey, which I think is always exciting to hear about people's personal development journeys because we can always learn so much from whoever we're talking to. Uh, Hey, so I'm just gonna see when, because I kind of worried that he may think that oh no, yeah, Randy should be coming on. He'll see it soon, I'm sure. Or I may have to come off and come in again if he doesn't realize how a live works. But I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure, I think he's done some. Um, hey Kayla, how are you doing? So yeah, this episode's gonna be about sorry, I keep on saying behind the scenes. Oh my god, transformation time. And in transformation time, we learn about people's personal development journey. So here I can see Randy has come on. So I'm just gonna request. Did I? Okay, yeah, I did. Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
not much. It's been a while since we last have spoken.
I know. And yes, I know how a live works, Diana. Come on.
Oh, you heard that?
I
I
did.
was like, I'm pretty sure he does know, but then I saw a message and I'm like, oh no. And then I wasn't sure if he knew it was like Facebook or Instagram, and I'm like, he'll figure it out.
I'm all good. I'm all good. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. So I was saying it's exciting to always hear people's personal development journeys and how their mindsets change because, like a lot of us can help relate to each other, or we help people who aren't in it understand that there's so many different types of people out there, and we all just have to find our way to get into entrepreneurship, into real estate.
That's
So to
right.
get started, I think let's just start with like tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. The hardest question to always answer, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty simple. Realtor. I don't advertise as a realtor all the time, right? Most people know me as an investor, but I've been a real estate agent for about 6 years now. And I really focus on investment properties and helping people find investment properties, and that's kind of been my niche or my avenue, my lane to say,
Hmm.
yeah. So that's me.
And but you also like what kind of real estate properties do you buy for yourself?
I'm focused on minimum dual family, so duplexes and up. I kind of try to stay in the range of duplex to maybe fiveplex, right? There are some pros and some cons of going higher into the multiplexes and like the apartment buildings. That avenue I haven't jumped in yet. Not too sure if I want to, but it depends on how you enter it. Right?
So now let's get into the juicy questions.
Oh yeah.
So what caused you, because you're now a real estate agent, but you weren't before, even same thing, entrepreneurship, you were, sorry, not entrepreneurship, a real estate investor, but you weren't
Right.
before. So what caused you to make the move into both those fields?
It kind of happened organically, to be honest with you. My my followers, they know that I was a barber, and I identified as a barber for many years, right? And I bought my first house in 2008. That was the house I lived in, and it did really well, right? Once you kind of get to see the powers of real estate and the rewards of real estate, you really get a little bit engulfed into, oh my god, how can I repeat this process, right? And the thing that was the hardest though for me, because I was constantly looking at real estate, it was having access to the properties all the time, right? And you know that, you got to pay a commission, especially on the selling side. On the buying side, it's not. It's, the sellers pay the real estate agent, so it's not a big deal. But on the selling side, you realize that, commission is a big thing. And if you're going to do this over and over again, at least if you plan that to save on some money is probably to get your license, right? So after selling my first home and seeing, the benefits, I was like, you know what, I got to do this over and over again. And so I got my license and jumped into the day-to-day agent to start, right? But my passion was still just investments, and having that entrepreneur spirit, it just made you want to take it to the next level, which was investment and buying more properties.
Mm-hmm. So then because let's say the first one you lived in the house, right? And what caused you to actually want to sell it? Was it just the market went up high and you wanted to sell it? Or yeah, what was the cause?
Great question. So to be honest, if I knew what I knew now, then I would have never sold that property, right? And I'll give you a little bit of a funny story because I lived in a basement apartment prior to that, right? And I admired my landlord because he rented out, like, it was like a single family that he turned into like a illegal triplex. Right? I was like, hey man, there's money here and this guy's just caking, right? So when I bought my property, I was like, I only need to live in the upstairs. I don't need the basement, so I'll rent out the basement illegally, right? And the reason why I say I wish I knew what I knew then, then, is because I actually turned that basement into a legal basement apartment, not really knowing what that title meant or what the future potential of that title was going to yield, right? So the fire department came to my house and said, hey, you got to do this, 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 this for it to be illegal. I'm like, okay, cool. I did this, 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 this. And now it was legal. I was like, okay, you know what? The property value went up maybe about 120K in about 5 years. I was like, oh my God. I was maybe 27, 28 at the time. Like, this is great money. I'm going to have 100K in my pocket. Why not sell? So maybe about a month after getting it legalized, I sold the property, and that was it. And
So at that point, it was more about just like that. Like you just saw the like 100K, and then still thinking investing. Right now, I have 100K. I can probably get something bigger or better. Right.
exactly.
Which is still a good approach, though. That's still a good approach. But I guess I feel like you probably knew that you have equity in there, and you probably have just taken it out to get your next
Right.
property.
Exactly. If anyone told me about refis before and having cash flow before, I couldn't have seen a reason why I would have sold that property, right? So, and not to mention, I sold in I think either 2013 or 2014, right? And we know what happened at the end of 2014. Like the market just went insane, right? It probably like doubled what I would have sold it for in like about a year and a half after that. So I was a little bit salty, but I made good moves with the money, so it wasn't like a big deal.
Yeah, but and again, like you probably got what you wanted out of it, right? Like you got that money and then ready to invest into the next property.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I did, right? I also bought a laundromat with the proceeds of that, which I still own to today. So it wasn't like, I was just selling to put that cash in my pocket, right? I sold it to do other things with the money.
Mm-hmm. So then you feel like you probably had that entrepreneur mindset kind of already in you, it sounds like.
Yeah, honestly, from young, right? It was all about, I don't know. We grew up at a different time. I think we actually share the same birthdays, or same. Is it same years and same birthday?
Same. I'm 1985. I don't know if we're in the
Okay,
same year, but
I'm 84. I'm 84. So and we have the same date.
baby then.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. So I don't know, the generation I came up in. It was hey, from your 15, 16, able to work, we got to make money, right? It was all about making money and making something of yourself. It was like we knew we couldn't live at our parents' houses forever, right? So we had to make things happen. So in that sense, yeah, I had the entrepreneurship spirit of making money. How I was gonna get there, I didn't really know that. I mean, it was a young time, but the ambition was always there, and that was what's really important.
That's awesome. So to to get you into everything that you've gone to, like even just switching into being a realtor and getting more into real estate, which is like now you're more involved in it as an investor, what are the
Mm,
skills that you feel like helped you to get started?
good question. To be honest, I don't think real estate really takes a specific skill, right? For me, it was more experience, right? What are the things that I experienced in my life to make me want to, buy real estate or to dabble into investing, right? And that was really what it was. So, even when it comes to stocks, like there was people, my teachers and stuff that inspired me in like that way, right? Seeing my landlord that was making probably crazy money at the time, cash flowing, right, and owning a restaurant, those things inspired me, right? Seeing my dad, who was always, all about business and being a hustler, right? Those things inspired me. So I don't think it was skill, but more so experience and the environment that I was always in made the entrepreneurship and the that kind of, feeling always existed.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. No one has ever said that on the show that you just had the environment and more for you, I guess, then it was more the motivation around you, just seeing like these people are doing it, why can't I guess mentality, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like we always see, there's people with the haves, the have not. If you wanted to be a have, right, you know that there were certain things that you had to do, right? So,
Mhm. Oh, that's great. That's a great point. Any other skills that you felt like, or I mean, I guess you weren't saying it a skill, but even just something that you felt you had in you, a skill that you felt that helped you push you to move forward.
you know what? Right now, I would say being a creative person is what is the biggest drive on I guess growing, right? Just thinking, being able to think outside the box and putting pieces of the puzzle together, or even just being creative on, flips and having the eye for decor and for real estate, right? Those are the things that are kind of really helping me propel right now.
Yeah, creativity. And I think it's something that we start learning in entrepreneurship, or not learning in the sense like you have it, but you start bringing it out more. I feel like, do you have
Yeah,
any
exactly.
stories related to that where you felt like you did something different from, that, let's say it's not the standard to say, quote unquote?
Um, Well, to be honest, to go back to like my first house, right? I used to have like some epic house parties and stuff like that, but I actually spent about 2 years renovating my house before anyone even came to see it. And people all used to always come to my house or my bathroom and be like, hey, that's the club bathroom. Bathroom's like it's a club. So just like being creative when it comes to like home decor and renovations, it was always something that like I really had a knack for.
Oh, so you like the whole like designing aspect.
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's fun
And
actually.
pardon?
I said it's actually fun.
It is fun. Well, no, not the care. For me, it's not decor. For me, it's layouts. I love trying to figure out like, oh, I want to like I need to squeeze in a bathroom into the main floor. I'm like, oh my God, how do I, and I get all like, how do I get this done? I'm like, I need to squeeze the bathroom in, figure it
Right?
out. That's
Right?
like
And I
my
guess
that's what I like.
and also once you get to like whether you're a contractor or you get into like home decor or um being an interior designer, you realize that there's no impossible when it comes to houses, right? It's just wood, drywall, I want to say glue, right? Glue and paint, right? And it's just how you can put it together. Once you think like that, like the possibilities are really endless.
And so when you said that you were doing were you yourself were doing the renovations, or you had like a team that would help you and you kind of like more managed it?
Right. So contrary to popular thought, people think that I do a lot of the renovations on my project. I actually do none of the renovations on my projects, right? I always hired it out and get a contractor. It's always best to focus, on your business than to try to work in the business, right?
Mhm.
But when it comes to my house, though, itself, I feel that I get a satisfaction of doing the work. I wake up every day and look at it. I'm like, hey, I did that. It looks good. Whether it was ugly, I'm like, you know what? At least I didn't cost me any money, and I can tear it down when I really need to, right? But I actually I get really a lot of fulfillment when I do work at home, but not on my projects.
So your first one, then you did that all on your own, everything
Pretty
on your
much.
first one.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
So was that like your first time, like you just kind of like winged it and was like figure it out on your own, or did you kind of come with a little bit of background of knowing how to do some renovations, and obviously I'm sure had to learn some others?
Yeah. Good question again. Well, my dad was a contractor, right?
Oh.
Uh, so I always had that, I guess, handyman trait, I guess, passed down from him, or watching him do his work or doing his job and stuff like that. So I was always pretty handy. And then honestly, you got to an age when you're doing stuff at your house, and we're in the internet age, so YouTube is everything.
I know
So
YouTube helps so much with everything. You
it,
don't know
it does.
something, at least you can get the basics like that. Like even if, for
Exactly.
example, you're not going to do the renovations yourself, it's still nice or even important. I feel it's important to still have a good understanding of the vocabulary of renovation so that you can at least speak with your contractors and both, you guys are understanding each other.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, it's a bootleg university. People don't. I think even now in 2021, people don't realize how much information you can actually get from YouTube and how tos.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100% agree. And it's, yeah, exactly. It's so important. And like that, there's a lots of people that don't know. I remember just even my father, uh, he was like looking for some information for exercises. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I just go and I put on a video and he's like, how did you find that out? And I'm like, I just went on YouTube.
YouTube.
And he just like, and then he was like, oh my God, now he's like, I want to go look up stuff on YouTube,
That's it. That's it. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a very powerful tool. Like that, even just knowing how to search online, I feel like that's a skill on its own that, I mean, younger generations definitely grew up knowing it, but the
Right.
older generations, I feel like it's a struggle for them to understand, like just even how to search things, and how to find it to get like what you want.
Yeah. Exactly. But I want to ask you a couple questions because I know that you've been going on your investment journeys, right? Um, for a lot of people, especially on the people of my side, they really don't know how a lot of different ways to get into real estate, right? They really see, the HGTVs, and they see flipping, and they see the realtor life, and they make it a little bit glamorous, right? And they don't know how some people have money, some people don't know what to do with their money. And as you know, I'm a big advocate for financial literacy and just being smart about your money, right? And I know that you personal lend, right? That is a strategy in real estate investment that you're familiar with.
Oh, what happened? Right when the good question comes up,
I'm still here.
he gets disconnected. Oh, there you go. I don't know if he got disconnected, but it was right when you were going to ask whatever the question was.
Okay. Yeah. So why is I know that's the strategy that you exercise, right? Why did you do that, and how is it going? And what could you speak on that for people that do have some money sitting on the side and don't know exactly what to do with it?
That's funny. No one has ever like reversed it on me. This is
Hey,
supposed to be about you, but I will answer
hey,
because I do find it, like you said, financial literacy is super important. And there's so much that can actually be done with private lending. And even just, for example, something that, I mean, I come from a background, same thing, not myself, but my husband does renovations. So I
right,
do get that side of things. But I like private lending also for people who want to get into real estate, but don't want to be hands-on, don't really understand the whole process, but then, for example, want to find someone like yourself that comes with experience and be like, hey, I want to be a part of your project, but I just want to make the money. I don't want to deal with the stresses of things because I have no idea of what I'm doing, right?
Right.
Like that's private lending kind of gives you an in that sense where it's like you get to be involved in a project that, especially for me, like that was my main purpose actually, because there's so many good deals out there that I will never get a hold of,
Right.
right? There's so many of us that are grabbing all the deals and stuff, and for me it was, I still want to be a part of the deal, even though I may not have been able to grab it and buy it to, let's say, flip it for whatever I want to do with it. But
Right.
I want to be involved. And I found that private lending is the best way because one thing with private lending is one, you're secured, right?
Right.
First or second, depending on what you're doing, depending on your risk levels. But the other thing is, if you want to, let's say, make more money and go, let's say, to passive, being a passive partner, private lending is also a nice in because you get to know the person and you get to, because in passive lending, obviously, you're making higher percentages. But with
Right.
private lending, you don't make as high, but you get to know the person who's actually doing the work. So, for example, Randy, you're doing a flip, and I'd be like, hey, your deal looks awesome. I love the numbers. I love what I'm seeing. I want to be involved. And then I'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to lend you this much money, whatever it is. And and the thing is, and I can be like, hey, and even say like I've done this with some of my partners where I'm like, hey, I never go passive first with someone, but I
Right.
private lend because I can get to know you and I'm upfront to be like, I want to see how you work, what your methods are like, see if we're compatible with each other. And a private lend gives you that distance to it still be business, like you're just being the bank, right? Like
Right.
just you're a bank. All I care about is my monthly money coming in, that's all I care about. But if I do want to get more know things, I'd be like, hey, well, I'm private lending to you. This is like a relationship we're building anyways. I'm gonna probably be bugging you and being like, hey Randy, what's going on? How's the
Right.
project going?
How's the
What's
project
the next
going?
step? Where are you doing? Like getting all
Right.
into your business. If I want to continue obviously going more. If you don't, then you're just like, I like the whole private lending, like I'm making my little bit of cash and I'm good with that. Then, because actually the ultimate goal is, to be honest, in general, once you start making a lot of money, the final goal really is just to be a private lender, right? You
Right.
just give the money out. It's making you, like I like to say to people, make your little money babies. It's making you
Yeah.
its babies, and your babies are making you babies, and you just let it do its thing. And, you're making whatever it is a month, like you slowly
Right.
accumulate. And oh, hey,
Yeah,
Neil. And
Neil's on there. Neil likes that money secured. So, just to kind of to speak to a lot of people who want to get involved in real estate and don't know how, right? As key point, what you made at the beginning, right, was that people always were wondering, hey man, how do I find the money? How do I find the money? I don't have the money, but I want to get into real estate investing, right? But look what you said at the beginning, right? You were looking for a place to put your money, right? So just think about that for a second. When other people are searching, oh my God, I don't have the money. You're like, hey, who can I give my money to? Right?
Mhm.
Who can I give it to turn my money around? And I try to tell people all the time that money is actually the easiest part when it comes to real estate investing, right? The hardest, I wouldn't say the easiest part, but it's one of the easiest part because because the hardest part is actually finding the deal, right? We all know that, right? And the deal attracts money. So people who don't have a lot of money to invest into real estate, right? They can focus on just finding great opportunities, right? Once they find great opportunities, they can find people like you who are looking for places to put your money or to invest your money because you like that secured income, you like that money coming in, you like to sleep and knowing that, hey, I invested in a good deal. And once I trust that person's capacity and capability, then things will happen, right? And we can build a working relationship, correct?
Mm-hmm, 100%. Yeah. There's just so many things you can do with money. And the other thing that I like to point out with people is like, don't say you don't have money because it's not that you don't have money, you just don't know you have money. Because a lot
That's
of people
right.
are like, oh, I don't have any money. And then I'd be like, so how much do you have on your mortgage in your house? How much do you have left remaining? Oh, you have 60K available? That's money. I'm sorry to tell you. You know,
That's
like,
the
hey,
money.
have you gone to the bank and actually asked for a line of credit? And what
Yep.
did they say? You know, have you ever asked that? If you, oh no, I've never asked. Oh, so why are you telling me you don't have money? You have money. You just never asked and found out.
That's right.
Especially with these COVID times, everyone who was taking action made a lot of money. There was a lot of money being pumped into the economy, and it was insane. The amount of mortgages they were giving out, lines of credits giving
Yep.
out, were insane in these past 2 years. I don't know if it's still going on right now. Probably, maybe it might be like slowing down a bit. But you could have gone out, like I was telling some family member, like go get your line of credits, go unsecured, secured, go get yourself in as much debt as you can so we can go lend that money out.
E- Exactly. I think Neil just asked how can he get that money and who can help find that money. I think Neil is referring to himself and other mortgage brokers. If people are not don't know where to find the money, right? Call your friend, your person that you know who is a
I'm
mortgage
the one
broker.
that's doing it
Yep.
because a lot of times, what's the problem? Mom, Dad, I want to go private lend. They're gonna be like, "Are you crazy? Do you know how risky it is? Da 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 da, blah blah blah. Freak you out? No, you need to go. Hey, Randy, have you ever heard of private lending? Diana, have you ever heard of private? Neil, have you ever heard of private lending? What is this? Can I understand what it is? How does it work?
Yep.
What is my risk tolerance? How do I figure out my risk tolerance?
Right.
Because private lending is like the safest thing you can do as long as you start figuring out where your risk tolerance is at. If you have a very low risk tolerance, there's criteria that you meet and you'll be okay. If you have a high risk tolerance, you're like, I'm young, I could lose, let's say 20K if it were to happen, then you might go for riskier things because you make more money that way, right? And you may like, if I were to lose it, whatever, I've learned my lesson, learn from it, go
Right.
on, move to the next thing.
Right. Someone just asked a question. I think they said I can't scroll. I just missed it.
Uh, Which one? It's like I've
Um,
also missed a whole bunch of people speaking. Have
Something
you
about like
guys,
where to
is it
find
the
the money or who to
Bloomberg
call.
Addy.com? It's a Canadian site.
Oh, what
Find
if you
that
have money that you want to lend to people, right? And
credit.
you wanna tackle that one?
What if you have money you want to lend to people? So if you have money, again, like it's always you want to qualify them, right? So you want to get to know the person you're lending. It depends on your level. Like if you only care about just making money, then you care about more of the asset, I would say. Because then you're going to want to secure it to a house. And then like you want to start with your risk tolerance first, figure out like what your risk tolerance is. You want to qualify the person. These two things will help you to figure out who you want to lend to. And I mean, you got to get into the communities because we're in a lot of communities. I'll be like, hey guys, I got 100K. And then everyone bombards me. And then
Right,
I'm like, who
exactly.
do I want to lend to?
Exactly. And if you're kind of scared and you're a little timid for your first couple times, you're not too sure, reach out to your local mortgage agent, right? Or your mortgage broker, right? They will have a lot of people who are asking them for private money, and all they have to do is connect you with them, making everything, paper trail, making everything on the books, and they can make it happen. So if you're looking for a place to lend your money, call your local or your favorite mortgage agent, and they can have a conversation with you.
Yeah, 100%. Very true. Because they will also make sure that you're lending to the right projects and not putting yourself in a risky situation. Because, like that, like your mortgage broker is going to figure out what your risk tolerance is, right? They're going to analyze the deal for you to make sure that they're putting you in a good deal. So, yeah, that's true. If you have zero experience, actually, mortgage broker is probably the best way to go. at it. Sorry, I forget. See, I feel like I've done it for so long, I don't even think
Yeah,
of
because you're a pro now. You're
mortgage.
forgetting the basic level, right? You're like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So you do mortgage broker that specializes in private lending and
Right.
probably has a few years of experience, obviously.
Exactly. All right. But sorry, I put you on the hot spot with private lending now. You can get back to your questioning. Sorry.
I was gonna just say, I'm like, okay, let's get back to you because it's about you.
All right, all right, all right.
So then now so when would you say that you started like really making your real estate investing into like a business? Like, is
Right.
this
I would
recent?
Yeah, I would say it was the beginning of last year, which was 2020. So, buying properties the slow way, saving up money, even using equity, right? And buying a property. Then once, things grow, you can do it again. Like, it'll be a every year or every 2 year process, right? But anyone that knows me knows that I've always wanted to flip homes, right? That's the thing that I always wanted to do. Not like pre-construction, selling it 2 years later, like literally be in there 3, 4 months out, right? So at the turn of 2020, not knowing that COVID was going to hit, right? It's like, hey, this is the time. A lot of seeds that I've already planted has matured, and now I got some cash, and I need to do this. If I said I'm going to flip houses, I got to flip houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was still needed a little bit of direction, and that's where we met in our mastermind group, right? And once you join a group of people, once you get into a circle of people who are just doing big things and doing the things that you want to do, you're like, hey, I got to do this too, or I got my direction, so let's just go, right? So I started buying properties last year, and I said, hey, in, out, and let's keep it moving. COVID was a perfect time. I was a person that was never fearful of making the moves anyway. So when I seen the market drop, I'm like, oh my God, this is the perfect buying opportunity, right? So any good deals that I can find, that I was just trying to take advantage of at the time.
So you would say then you were always an action taker, and getting into the mastermind probably just helped you make sure you're going in the right direction to taking the right actions, I guess. Is that like,
Right. So taking the right action when it comes to real estate. I was always an action taker, whether it was other things outside, right? It was like, hey, no risk, no reward. So you gotta make the moves. But I was really trying to hone in on real estate, and especially the flipping, to see, the best way to do it, right? So if you don't know something, hey, you pay, you read, right? Or just talk to other people who are doing it. And that's exactly what I did and what you did as well. And once you got the proper direction, then, it was just taking more of the action in that direction.
mhm. Yeah, and actually talk about the benefits that you got from that, from having a mentor, reading about it, like instead of, let's say, doing it on your own, like what are all the benefits that you got out of it actually using all the tools in your tool belt?
Right. So it's a shortcut. That's the long and short of it, right? Success leaves trails, and people who have done it before will give you advice. So if you can, find people who have done what you're trying to do, right? You're gonna eliminate a lot of the mistakes, right? That they took and that they trailblazed, right? And you're gonna be just, hey, I can ask questions along the way, and you can also watch other people along the way doing what they're doing and kind of mimic or just go on your own path, because the mistakes that they made and the successes that they've had.
Exactly, 100%. And it is just basically, instead of you making the mistakes, it's you're learning from other people's mistakes. And that's the beauty, I feel like, of the community too.
Right.
You have the community or your mentorship, or if you're doing like that, videos, books, whatever, you're always, yeah, learning is from them, so that you have that level up, because you're just like, okay, I'm not going to make those mistakes because I'm learning not to do them from someone
Right.
else.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's great. So what are your skills now that you're in the middle of your business, and in the growth and everything, what are skills that you've started realizing that you never thought you would need, or you just even thought about, and that now you're realizing you want to have to grow your business or to, achieve your goals, future goals?
Right. I don't know if I can pinpoint it on anything like one or specific, but it's just to continue to read, it's to continue to take in information, right? It's to learn about, different things like even when it comes to renovations, you're not thinking about the land. Right? You're not thinking about how that house got there that you're renovating in the first place, right? So for me right now, it's learning about land and learning how to assess land and property, learning about city planning and official plans and those kind of things, right? Those are the skills that I'm learning right now that's really going to propel me in what I'm trying to do for the future.
So with that then, what are your future plans then? Are you getting into new developments?
Um, I would definitely like to dabble into new developments or just even taking a property from what it is now, completely changing the use, maybe into something else, right? So, not just so the renos and flips, but maybe like just completely transformation of a property or land itself. And whether it's, a subdivision, whether it's just changing a duplex, taking a land and turning it into an apartment building, right? Those are the things that I really can see myself doing over the next few bit.
That's a great point, actually, because it's always, it may not always be, or I mean, like you said, you're going to continue anyways, your personal development, because you're always reading, but it is always very important to also just keep up with, even things like that, like what's going on with like the city, or if you're going to move to a different city, let's say in investing, like starting to do the research there. So doing your research even in real estate is always so important, depending on, if you're going to pivot to something different.
Right. And
Speaking of pivoting, I don't think this happened to you, but during COVID, did you feel like you had to pivot and change certain things in either real estate or in as a realtor?
no, not really, because it was already like 2020 was already the start of a pivoting year for me, naturally and organically. So you know, COVID happened. It was a bad thing for some people and was a good thing for others, right? Others were forced to pivot, but for me, it was already a pivoting year, right? And it actually just created a lot of opportunities for what I was already focused on, and which I'm actually really grateful for.
So, but let's say did you, in these years, have you been more focused in your real estate investing, or have you been still very focused as a realtor also?
I always had a longing to be an investor and focus on my investments. I was, a day-to-day realtor, for the last like 5 years, right? So this was the year that I pivoted from that, which I still am, right? But just more focusing on investment properties and not just for myself, but like for my clients as well, right? There's a lot of people who want, who actually can't, there's people who can't afford an entire property by themselves, but they want to invest, they want to be able to turn their money, right? There's people who have properties already that don't know how to access their equity, right? And then there's just people who just completely want to buy houses, right? Which is an investment for them in the future. So those are kind of the things that I really focused on as a real estate agent still.
Oh, okay, so you're still but let's say, did COVID affect your clientele with as a realtor? Like, did you get more into investing and less into being a realtor just because of the economy, or was it like added on? You actually just both continued and you just added on investing a lot more heavily.
Yeah, I just kind of added on investing a lot more heavily, right? Because I think even before the pandemic, people were still trying to buy and sell real estate, right? It was just the level of it and kind of people seeing different things happen now that COVID has happened. So it just kind of helped me focus more. So, hey, look, properties can go up so much in a short period of time. Hey, guys, stop sitting on the sideline.
hmm And so, going back to, since you talked about financial literacy, what for you what happened to make you so interested in wanting people to get educated about financial literacy?
Right. I was going way back, right? This is getting a little way back, right? Working, I actually worked at Home Depot, right? And the idea of someone telling you, when to go on break, right? And hurry up and come back, when to check in, when to check out. Look, that is the way of the world, and we need 9 to 5 people and working regular jobs, right? So I will never say anything bad about people that have jobs, right? But um for me, I wanted more. I wanted more freedom. I didn't want that constraints, right? And even as a barber, which I was still an entrepreneur, but I still had a maximum amount of money that I could make in a day, right? Because you can only cut so many heads. There's only so many hours, right? My ceilings were always there, right? So I always wanted to get into something where there was no ceiling, right? Where my time was more flexible and I didn't have someone telling me when to check in or to check out. So that was something that was always really important to me from like day one, to be honest.
Hmm. And but then how did that translate to financial literacy? Like just because you had to figure out like how to break your ceilings, I guess?
Right. So, for me, not a lot of people like showed me the way, so I had to figure a lot of things out, right? And you realize that once you can know how to use money, create money, right? That possibilities are endless. So I actually wanted to share those things and that knowledge with other people, because once you know about your finances, once you know about taxes, once you know about how money is created, once you know that you don't want to share your time, trade your time for money, right? Then you realize, hey, look, there's a lot more things that I want to do. So that sense of financial literacy and knowing how money is created, now how money is saved, and now knowing how money is utilized is something that I was always, just focused on naturally and want to share that with everybody else.
That's great. And I think that is something that talking about personal development, I feel like when you get onto this journey of personal development, something that you start doing is like you gain all this knowledge and you want to share it out with
Yeah.
everyone. You want people to be like, oh my God, look what I've learned. Everyone needs to know this.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because there's no fun keeping secrets to yourself, especially when you know that, look, everyone could be doing the same thing. A lot of people around you could be doing the same thing. And nobody wants to well, me personally, I don't want to do anything by myself. I want my friends and my family to enjoy, the best of lives. And even people that still have jobs, keep their jobs. How can you do things on the side, right? Side hustle. I talk about side hustles a lot because having multiple streams of income is so important, right? I don't think that a lot of people get rich from having just one source, right? It's usually 3, 4, 5 different sources of income, and those things, it's up to a person to figure out what they like, what they're capable of, right? And even if I can help them just kind of figure out things for them, like that stuff, I can talk about all day.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. I'm the same way. And it's
Yeah.
it's funny that you say it because it's the same. I guess that's how even just like let's say my shows came up, right? Like that when I started really learning about personal development, that's to be
Hmm.
honest why the show came up because I was just like people have a lot to share. Like everyone goes through their journeys, and
Right.
it's like why don't we all learn off each other? Because exactly what you say, like why am I going to be rich all by myself? What am I going to do with that? I
Right.
want
Exactly.
everyone to be rich with me so we can all have fun, and enjoy our lives and not be, like everyone just enjoy together. Like
Right.
not
And
have
it's
to
not
worry
even.
about the scarcity
It,
mindset.
I want to turn on the light because the light's getting a little dark in here. But
Oh, no worries.
it's not even just like about being rich. It's just about having choices, right? Just
Yeah.
having the freedom to be like, hey, we got some passive money coming in, right? What are your passions? What is it that you enjoy to do, right? And just kind of helping people just focus on what they're good at and how they can make the best and be more efficient in their regular lives.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's always about the choices. And I think, and like you said, I don't think once you get to certain levels of money, like once you're at a level where you can fully take care of yourself and you don't have to worry about money, and that
Hmm.
number can like it doesn't mean you have to be rich, but
Right.
that number means that, like, let's say your house bills are taken care of, and when you actually have the time to think and be like, what do I want? Is where like you want to be, because then you start realizing that when you're in the grind of like, I'm just working, 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 you don't have a time to actually get to know you, right? You
Exactly.
don't get to know who you is. And when you get to that point where you're just like, you know what? I don't want to, for example, like I want to take a week off just to see like what do I want? You know,
Right.
what do I want to do? Do I actually want to keep this job, or maybe I want to find a different kind of job that I enjoy, or I want to get more into a hobby.
Right.
It's you start realizing like that, like when all you can think about is money is actually not a good thing, because
Not a
when you're
good.
thinking
It's not
about
a good
money,
thing.
all you're thinking about is I need to pay the bills, I need to pay the bills, I need to
That's
pay the
right.
bills. And what is happening? You are not even like focusing on you, focusing on anything else, and you don't
Right.
know actually who you are, which is actually I feel like a struggle that a lot of people, like the older generations, retirement is so difficult for them because like
Yep.
you retire and then what happens? You're like 60, let's say 65, you retire, you've never known who you are because all you've done is I need to work for my bills all the time. You retire and it's like the scariest thing for people because they don't know anything about themselves. You're like, do I have a hobby? I have no idea.
Right.
Do I have
Exactly.
a
Right.
skill? I have no idea.
No idea. And
Yeah.
it's the biggest rat wheel. It's the biggest trap. It's the biggest trap that's really out there, right? You're always just constantly thinking about how to pay your bills and how to um, where the next dollar is coming from or the next paycheck. When is the next paycheck coming? Oh my God, I gotta clock in an extra 3 hours this week in order for me to be able to afford that car or to be able to send my kid on that trip or something like that. Right? Those are the things that and it doesn't happen overnight. And that's what I really try to tell people. It's not something that, hey, you're gonna wake up one day and boom, you're gonna be able to afford what you want and be in your passion, right? It's gonna take those slow little steps over and over, whether it's you started private lending your 20K and you eventually made an extra $200 to $300 a month on that, and after 5 years you realize, oh my God, I have 50K right now. You would have never saved 50K just working, right? It's just kind of ways to maximize. And then once you have extra 50K, you realize, you know what? I can take a day off in the week and think about how else I could maximize. Once you can focus on how to make money, you will actually make money.
And like that, you start getting all these freedoms you never thought of. Like you said, like maybe you'd be like, you know what? I only feel like working Monday to Thursday, and I'm gonna actually take 3-day weekends off because I want to have that. Like
That's
you
right.
want to, you want like you want to get to know yourself, and I mean, like at these ages, it's like the best time to get to know yourself because I mean, there's so much that you can do, and at least you're in a very flexible state. I feel like that as you get older, it does
Yeah.
get pretty scary. Like people do get more and more scared as the ages go by. Like that's why, people don't change at a certain like once you get to certain ages, you don't really like change. Right? So it's like might
So
as well get to know who you are now because
now,
if you're having to figure out who you are at 60, that's probably why people they get depressed and they're like, I just want to work.
yeah,
Like that's the
and
thing. I want to work for
you
all
have
my
a lot
life.
of regret. Yeah,
Yeah. And then or they just want to blind themselves, right? Like sometimes realizing that is it that you really enjoy working? Or you're just putting the blinders on because that's all you know how to do and you don't want to get to know who you are. Which I feel
that's
like
right.
that's what happens when you get older, where you just like blinders on. I like to work. I want to work for the rest of my life. Are
I
you
love
sure?
my job, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So then also, okay, so wait, any other skills that, because we kind of a little diverted again. You
we
made
did.
me talk a little too much.
That's a good. That's good. Don't worry.
But but
But
is
yeah,
that any skills that you felt or that you like want to learn to improve, for the next few years?
just learning how to assess properties and real estate a lot better. right? If there was one specific skill, though, going back to talking about figuring out where to put a washroom and all that stuff, if I learn how to frame, oh my God, right?
If you
Because
learn what?
framing, framing, I
Oh,
want to get
frame.
real specific, right? If I learn how to frame a house or just change layouts myself, oh my God, anything's possible.
It's very easy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, framing is not so bad. I mean, I don't do framing, but it looks easy. I mean,
it
like my
look it
team
looks
does
easy. Yeah, ask your husband; he'll tell you if it's easy. But I'm sure it's probably not hard. But
I mean,
knowing it
easy
is
in the sense of uh, like making it and not making it. Sorry, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's labor intensive. I mean, it's easy. Like the concept is easy.
concept wise. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
concept
Yeah.
is easy to learn. Just
Hmm.
putting the time into it. So the last burning question, what do
Yeah.
you feel, what are your goals for the next 5 years? What do you want to achieve?
Ooh, good question. To have obviously more properties, right? So you have a little bit more cash flow coming in, right? I think that's always a goal for a lot of real estate investors. But is to really get into the developmenting space and just become a developer, right? In some capacity. I don't know what extent yet, but I think that is the ultimate level of real estate when you're the one creating the actual asset. That's really a big deal for me.
Especially that you like to be super creative. So I'm sure you're gonna love the whole, creativity part of it.
Exactly, exactly. Yep.
It's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It was so fun to hear about your development journey and thanks for the question. I think it was
Uh,
still fun to talk to
no
people about
problem.
financial literacy.
No problem. And you got to invite me down to your Toronto flip. I know you guys have been working on this project for quite some time. Whenever you're in the city, just let me know. I'll go. I know your husband's probably like, you have him there slaving around every day. So you got invite me down to the flip next time you guys are down there, and I want to come check it out.
100%. Yeah, we'll probably be actually doing like a little party thing for the investors and get to see the place and then people will actually get to probably ask all their questions because this is a big project. So for a
Yeah,
learning experience, I'm sure everyone will enjoy. So for
for
sure, I'll
sure, for
definitely let
sure.
you know.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you for coming
Thanks
on.
for,
Thank you, everyone.
th-
I hope you all enjoy.
yes.
And we'll see
Thanks for having
everyone
me
on the
on.
next episode. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Later.